Hey, Billy, question 5, 2 to go. Then we've got some long advice.
Yeah.
Long-time listener, first-time poster. I'm so thankful for your podcast. It's helped me enormously, both as a parent and as a teacher. I had to write in for this episode because it hits close to home. Our household has what we like to call a generous sprinkling of neurodiversity. All 3 of our children are neurodivergent, each amazing in their own way. But let's introduce you to our second born, our fiery little girl. She has always marched to the beat of her own drum, diagnosed with ADHD, autism and PDA profile. She carries a sparkle in her eye, an insatiable curiosity about the world, and an out-of-the-box mind that dreams up solutions I could never imagine. Yet, as she moves through school, she's now in year 3, I see the sparkle fading, her curiosity narrowing and her creative thinking shrinking. She's blessed with caring teachers, support staff and allied health professionals, but the system itself makes it hard for kids like her. I see it in my work too. I've met with passionate teachers who want to champion the neurodivergent students in their classrooms, but how do we change a system that wasn't built for them? How do we create schools where kids can ditch their shoes if they're uncomfortable, learn outside when it suits them, and be guided not by tests and data, but by their well-being and needs? I know there's no quick fix for a system that has been entrenched for so long, so here is my question. How do we support neurosparkly kids when the system is changing more slowly than they are growing up? How do we encourage them to keep sparkling every day in a world that often tries to dim them? Thanks so much.
Yeah, beautiful. So quickly on this one, like, yes, the system is moving way too slowly. But I think we can think about those environments and how do they celebrate them. And like the example of like, you know, ditch their shoes and all that stuff is like going into those communities and, you know, actually being positive contributors to how do we make sure every single kid in here feels safe first, but then feels celebrated and feels like they contribute. Like it's, do you know what I mean? Every single kid needs those specific things to happen for them every single day that they're in a school environment. But schools need those parents that have the capacity to come in and contribute to that. Do you know what I mean? They need the therapists, the clinicians to go into the school, not just send in reports that have like 20 demands, but to be like, I'm going to come into your space and help. That's the best therapists do that. You know, they go in because my experience doing that, I learned more than I taught, but also, you know, I can then combine the strengths that I have and the knowledge that I have and skills and give it to the real world. So I think what we need to do is do this, and we need to do it especially for these kids because these are some of our most vulnerable kids because the environment is not fit for them. So that's how we do it. We change the environment, we go in and think about it. We also need to actually measure how these kids are going. Like my PhD had one way of doing it. There's a lot of different ways, but how do we actually know how our kids are going? And that's not a report card that says they're at reading level or behind or ahead. That's, do they feel safe here? Do they feel celebrated here? You know, do they feel like they contribute to this? And I would argue the parents should feel like that, the educators should feel like that, every staff should feel like that. Our schools and our clinics and everything should be seen as owned by the community. Do you know what I mean? Like those are places that's how we make sure that there's a collective ownership and responsibility. I say that in all the PD that I do. I like say at the start of it, I'm like, there's a collective responsibility of how well this goes so that if it doesn't go well, I'm like, this wasn't my fault. But do you know what I mean? Thinking about that as schools, like you have a collective responsibility in your school environment.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Of how well it goes. And by thinking about your kids in that school environment and having their needs met, you're also thinking about every single kid there.
Yeah,
do you know
all
what
important.
I mean? Yeah, and so shifting away from things like this is the set structure to actually how do we meet the needs? Safety first, then emotional, social, capacity, development, all those components. Academic learning last. Mm-hmm. You know, it's got to be in that order, and we're finding a lot of rigidity that's pushing back against that. But we'll keep working on it. So, yeah, it's a really good one.
Cool.
But yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.